By the time you hear this, I've already moved out of that apartment. But walls remember things, hallways remember footsteps, and doors. Doors remember who stood in front of them at 3:17 a.m, knocking when everyone sane was asleep. It started on a Thursday night, or technically early Friday morning. I remember because I'd just finished praying Isha late and guilt was already sitting in my chest like a stone. I'm 26, I live alone, and like a lot of us, my nights are half Quran app, half TikTok. That night, Kylie Jenner's face was everywhere on my feed. Her makeup tutorials, her lips, her perfect contour. I watched it mindlessly, letting her image burn into my eyes when I should have let the last thing I saw be the mushaf. I finally put my phone away around 2:45 a.m, scrolling between a short Ruqya video and one last clip of Kylie posing in some velvet dress. I remember thinking, Subhanallah, we stare at these faces more than we look at ourselves in the mirror. I turned my screen off, the room went dark, and I lay there, heartbeat slowing, whispering a lazy half asleep. Bismika Allahumma amutu wa ahya. The building was silent. Even the fridge hum felt far away. I drifted in that in-between state where your body is heavy, but your mind is just floating. Minutes passed, maybe 30, maybe 5. Then I heard it. Knock, knock, knock. 3 slow taps on my apartment door. Firm, measured. Too polite to be a drunk neighbor, too intentional to be a mistake. I opened my eyes, staring into the darkness. My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Ya Rab, I whispered. No one ever came to my place unannounced, and definitely not at 3 a.m. I grabbed my phone from under the pillow. The screen said 3:17 a.m. exactly. The knocking came again. Same rhythm, same 3 taps. I sat up slowly. The air felt thicker, like the room was full of invisible smoke. I remembered the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said, "When night falls, keep your children close, for the devils spread out at that hour." And I thought, if that's for children, what about a woman living alone? I hesitated, then turned on the bedside lamp. The warm yellow light made the shadows in the corners of the room recoil, but it didn't calm me. I swung my feet to the floor, heart racing. Part of me wanted to ignore it, but the knocking kept returning, never louder, just patient, intelligent, like whoever was outside knew I was listening. I walked to the door, each step sounding too loud on the tiles. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق, I whispered under my breath, the words slipping out automatically from childhood Ruqya lessons. When I reached the door, I didn't open it. Of course I didn't. I just pressed my eye to the peephole. That's when my heart almost stopped. It was her. Kylie Jenner, standing outside my door in the dead silence of 3:17 a.m. in my old ugly apartment building where the lift still made dying machine noises. Same face, same eyebrows, same lip liner, same slightly bored expression I'd seen on my phone 30 minutes earlier. She was wearing a long dark coat that fell to her ankles and some kind of black top underneath. Her makeup was flawless, like she'd just stepped off a set. The harsh corridor light made her skin almost glow. She was looking straight at my door, not at the camera, not at anyone else, at me. Somehow, I knew. My first thought, my desperate, rational brain, said, "This is impossible. This is a prank, a look-alike, a hallucination." But my second thought, the one that crawled up from my spine, whispered, "They take forms. Ibn Taymiyyah said they can appear as people. They can even take the shape of the dead and of the living." She moved, not a human fidget, not a normal shift of weight. Her head turned just a fraction too smoothly, like a camera pan. Her eyes lifted and stared directly into the peephole, into me. I stumbled back, hand flying to my chest. She couldn't know I was there. She couldn't see me. It's just glass and metal. Then she spoke. "Open the door." The words slid through the wood like smoke, but it wasn't one voice, it was three, layered on top of each other. Imagine Kylie's soft California tone, and under it, a deeper masculine echo, and beneath that, something else, rough, like gravel dragged across metal, all saying the same sentence at the same time. I froze, my back pressed against the wall. A hadith hit me like a slap. The jinn can take many forms. Ibn Kathir mentioned they may appear as snakes, dogs, even humans. I didn't know what this thing was, but I knew one thing with absolute certainty. It was not Kylie Jenner. "Wrong apartment," I managed, my voice cracking, not even sure if she could hear me through the door. Silence. Then the knocking again. This time softer, almost playful. Knock, knock, knock. I forced myself to the peephole again, breath shallow. She's such close now, too close. All I could see was her face, my whole field of vision filled with your perfectly contoured cheeks, glossy lips, lashes. But her eyes were wrong. They were slightly too large, the irises a fraction too bright. And when the corridor light flickered, her eyes seemed to absorb it, not reflect it, like two deep, hungry wells. "Let me in." Again, three voices layered. This time, the lowest of them vibrated in my chest like bass from a club. "Speaker." My ears rang. Panic started to wrap around my throat. I remembered something my Ruqya teacher once said. The jinn have no power over you unless you open doors, through sin or literally. And tonight I had spent an hour staring at this woman's face like an idol. I felt stupid, exposed, like I had invited something by letting my heart cling to these images. I took a step back, then another, whispering, "Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyul qayyum." I started Ayat al-Kursi, voice shaking. I hadn't memorized all the classical opinions of the scholars, but I knew this verse is a fortress. Outside, she laughed. A short, empty laugh that didn't move her lips, only her eyes widened, like she was amused. "Do you think that will stop me?" The triple voice slithered through the door. "You know my face better than your own." Tears burned in my eyes, because it was true. I knew her angles, her products, her filter tricks, and I could barely describe my own reflection without a picture. I raised my voice, forcing the rest of the verse out. وَلَا يَعُودُهُ حِفْظُهُمَا وَهُوَ الْعَلِيُّ الْعَظِيمُ. My voice cracked on Al-Azim, but I finished. The air in the apartment changed. I can't explain it, like a static hiss suddenly cut off. Silence. I pressed my ear to the door, shaking. Nothing. No footsteps, no breathing. The corridor light outside flickered again under the door. I dared to look through the peephole, heart hammering. Empty. The hallway was just peeling paint, dead plants, and the elevator door. No Kylie, no anyone. I sagged to the floor, my legs giving out. For a moment I thought maybe I had imagined all of it, sleep paralysis while awake, a hallucination from too much screen time and too little dhikr. Then I heard it, right behind me. Why did you stop looking at me? Her voice, those 3 voices, were inside my apartment now, not muffled by walls, right at my back. Cold surged through my spine. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. The Prophet ﷺ said the shayateen can flow through the son of Adam like blood. Al-Qurtubi explained they can reach places you don't expect. I believed it in that moment like I believed my own heartbeat. My tongue stumbled over itself, defaulting to the only shield I had. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. A cold, sweet smell flooded my nose, like expensive perfume mixed with something rotten underneath. Her whisper brushed my ear, but I still didn't turn. You called me, she said. You watched me. You wanted to be me, and now you run? I squeezed my eyes shut, shaking my head. My mind flashed back to hours wasted comparing myself to filtered faces, wishing for their lives, their bodies, their fame. Ibn Taymiyyah had written that the jinn can be attracted to humans through desire, fear, or obsession. How much obsession had I fed tonight? I raised my hands, palms shaking. Allahumma rabban nas, adhib al-ba'sa, ishfi. I began the ruqya dua, stumbling, repeating it. La shifaa'a illa shifaa'uk, shifaa'an la yughadiru saqaman. Her breath, cold, thin, brushed my neck. My skin crawled. Look at me, she whispered. The masculine undertone rumbled beneath it, and the third voice just gurgled like water down a drain. Just once, open your eyes, see what you've worshipped. My eyes were already open, fixed on the crack under the door, but my body refused to turn. I knew, somewhere deep in my fitrah, that if I looked back, something in me would break. Instead, I shouted, voice raw, بسم الله الذي لا يضر مع اسمه شيء في الأرض ولا في السماء وهو السميع العليم. The last word ripped out of me like a sob. And just like that, she was gone. The smell vanished. The weight of her presence lifted as if someone had opened a window in my soul. The apartment was just my apartment again, old, dusty, small. But I could still feel where her words had pressed against my skin. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I sat with my back against the Qibla wall, reciting whatever I knew from the Quran until Fajr. My voice was a dry whisper, my eyes swollen, but with every verse, I felt a layer of something between me and that thing outside. When the adhan for Fajr finally played from my phone, I broke down crying. I remembered the verse. Indeed, he, Shaitan, has no authority over those who believe and rely upon their Lord. And I realized my screen had become a doorway. My obsession had become an invitation. I moved out a month later, not because the landlord raised the rent, but because every time I scrolled past her face, or any face I'd once envied, I heard that triple echo. You know my face better than your own. Now, when the night deepens and the timeline fills with edited perfection, I put my phone down and whisper to myself, the unseen is watching too. Because jinn don't just come as shadows and whispers in abandoned places. Sometimes they come as the faces we've worshipped in our screens, knocking politely at 3:17 a.m., asking to be let in. So guard your eyes, guard your heart, and guard your doors with the name of Allah, because they are real and we are weak. Indeed, Allah is the best of protectors.